Hey girls, I'm out here in Briceville. I'm at the Briceville First Baptist Church, and I'm talking to Mia Fouraker Abernathy, who's the pastor's wife. So now I've talked about her before because I knew her and Paul, her husband, back when they were teenagers, and they were just dating, and they were these cute little kids. They were just flittering around, while we were at choir practice. And so now here they are, and Paul is the pastor of the Briceville First Baptist Church. Can you believe it? And Mia, and they're married, they got children, they got grandchildren. So God has done a wonderful thing. But she has a testimony and just a little something to say. So I'm going to turn it over to her. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Mia. I know Barbara, well, I've known Barbara for a long time, from when I was a kid. I haven't seen her in many years, but I've enjoyed getting to know her again. And she wanted me to give a little bit of a testimony today, so I'm going to do that. I thought the best way to do that would be to start at the beginning, which is to go back to the late 30s. Don't worry, time flies. My dad's parents decided that they needed a church, and they started this church out here. They donated some land, and they got together with family members and community members, and they built this church. And they started it then, and that's how Briceville Baptist Church got started. And we had our 80-something homecoming this year. I should know what that was, but I don't remember. But we're closing in on 90 years, I believe. And Paul, my husband, is currently serving as the pastor here. Psalms 33:11 says, "The plans of the Lord stand firm forever, the purposes of his heart through all generations." How Paul and I got here is, it's a bit of a long story, and it's interesting how it just kind of shows how God works sometimes. First of all, I was adopted as an infant. My parents adopted me at the time of birth, and I was adopted into this great family, this Fouraker family, and my dad was a great man of God. He was very involved in the church. He didn't just say go to church, he showed us. He went to church. I saw him go to church. I saw him read his Bible. He served as a deacon. He was the music director. He lived it. And we were raised in church. We always went to church. Church was such a big part of our lives, and we lived right here on he lived on his parents' land eventually, and his brothers and sisters did as well. And it was just a big church family community out here. And that's how I grew up, which was great. And then Paul is not from here. His family's actually from Alabama. And they moved here when he was a very small child, and they moved to Baldwin, which is about 5 minutes down the road from here. And I never knew him as a child, never came in contact with his family growing up. But when he got out of school and got his own car, he started looking for a church, and he traveled out down the road to Briceville to check out this church. And that's where we met, and that was many years ago. I think I was 15 when I met Paul. And Barbara has given me some memories that she has of us at that time, and it sounds right. I don't know if I remember exactly, but it sounds right. Sneaking into choir practice late and that kind of stuff. So we ended up getting married very young. We got married and had children, and we moved away. We moved out of Briceville. We actually moved to Clay County. We lived in Green Cove Springs and Middleburg for many, many years. It's like 25, 30 years, I think. And we, I figured I would never return to Briceville. That was never in my plan to come back to Briceville. I guess I felt I outgrew it or something. I don't know, but I never planned to come back. We got involved with the church. We were out of church for many years, if I'm honest. We did not stay in church our whole lives. There were many years where we were out of church and just doing our own thing. And but God still has a plan. So we ended up visiting a church in Penny Farms and ended up getting very involved with that church. Paul became the youth pastor out there, and we were there for many years and built many basically new family relationships out there. And Paul had actually did a church plant out there as well, and that's where our children went to school, that's where they grew up. That's just where we were going to spend the rest of our lives, was Clay County. But in 2010, my dad became ill and actually passed away in 2010, and my mom was also ill. So at that time, we had to come back home temporarily to take care of my mom, and we did. We moved back here, and we ended up staying, to put it shortly. We became back involved with Briceville Church, and Paul became their interim pastor for a while, and now he's actually serving as a full-time pastor. And it's such a strange thing when you think about the beginnings of how Paul got here and how, I came here, and how we're back after all these many years. And Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were even born, I consecrated you." He also, in Jeremiah, I think it's, let me look here, Jeremiah 29, where he says, "The plans I have for you." And I know you're probably familiar with that verse. So many little things had to happen to bring us to this exact point where we are. And I'm sure that some of you have a similar story. How did you end up here? What's God's plan been for you, and how many turns have you taken to get where he wants you? And not that I know that this is where he wants me. I don't know. I just know that that's where I've ended up right now. And I can see God's hand in it, because so many things have occurred to bring us here. Romans 8:28 says, and we know that for those who love God, all things work together for the good, for those who are called according to his purpose. And we are called according to his purpose. And I hope that you can also see that in your life, as I see it in mine. And that's really about it. I thank you for letting me share. And I hope you guys will join us out here next Saturday. We're going to have a little get together out here with Barbara and all of you. Hopefully you'll join us. And I hope to see you then. Thanks.